Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with a battle report or a playthrough of Robotech RPG Tactics. Alright, now this is my table that I set up today for this demonstration. I'm using the buildings and the streets are all Drop Zone Commander. Some of these were included in the box set, and like one, I think it is that one, is one that I printed off and actually built myself. So that's the terrain. Now I set it up as a 2x4 on my ping pong table so we can get this demonstration so they can get engaged in a hurry and you can see the mechanics of the game. That was my main reason. We're playing the very first introductory scenario called First Contact, and it calls for like no terrain, but that's not interesting. So we're going to go ahead and put some terrain on the table and have that go. Now, as you can see, we have the 6 Regults right here and 2 Veritechs. It looks like there's 6, but there's not, because the Veritech can change formation into the 3 different modes. Yeah, so you're going to have the Guardian mode right there, you're going to have the Battloid mode right here, and you're going to have the Fighter mode right there. So only one of these models would be on the table at any given time, because then you would swap them out for the other model when he does his modular transformation. My Regults are set up in 2 squadrons of 3. That's what the scenario calls for. There is no such thing in the game as a squadron of 3. But for this introductory scenario, they've created. And you can do what you want, you know. As if you're using this with a role-playing game or what have you, you can have 1 Regult running around, whatever. It's you know, you're the game master. But in this scenario, it calls for 2 squadrons of 3 Regults. It also, normally the Regults would have, or I should say the Zentradi would have an ability called Life is Cheap, or the Regults would, and so what that means is that you would not get a command point per mecha, but in this scenario you will be getting a command point per mecha. Okay, so the Zentradi actually start with 6 command points, and that's what these tokens are. And the RDF right here actually get 2 command points, 1 per mecha. If there was any leaders on the table, that would add additional command points, or special characters, or like a reconnaissance pod, things like that, add additional command points to your side. But in this case, you only get 1 per mecha. You might want to notice the Zentradi and the RDF each get their own dice. Okay, so that's the force. Now let's take a look at their cards. All right, both teams here get cards. Really, you need one. This is a standard size playing card size. You need to have one of these per different type of vehicle. Okay, and since the Zentradi only have 1 type of vehicle, they have the Regult. Okay, now I've pulled 2 out so that we have, because they're both identical, but they're double-sided, so I wanted to put both sides facing up so I didn't have to sit here constantly turning the card over. Same thing with the RDF. We have the VF1A, that's the composition of the Veritechs. There's 2 VF1As, so I just pulled a card out for both sides, the front and back. Now these are your squadron cards, and your squadron cards tell you like what's in the squadron and gives you a section of the card that you use to mark off damage. These are used to mark off damage, and what I use is just an Expo dry erase pen. Not a wet pen, just a dry erase pen. It'll mark on there and you can wipe it off. And as you can see, these only have 5 hit points. Now they don't have 12 of them, they're marked as a 12. I'm just using this Attrition Squadrons card to represent the 2 squadrons of 3 for a total of 6. And then we come over to the Valkyrie. Yeah, you come over to the Valkyrie squadron, you can see that there are a lot of options, because normally these actually cost points when you're building your army. Like this card here would cost 80 points. And you have to have one of these cards in your army for every 150 points you're building. So if you're building like a 300-point army, which is the standard size or army, you have to have 2 squadron cards. It doesn't have to be this squadron, it just has to be this you have to have a squadron per 150 points. Now this is 80 points, so now that would get you the 4 Veritechs, the J and the 3 A's. But in this case, we're only going to be using 2 of the A's out of the squadron, and we're not using any of the additional abilities on here, and those each cost an additional points. And you know, you build your army, you spend points, and then you can play against your other opponents with similar points. But that's not the way I'm planning on playing this game. I'm planning on using it with a role-playing game and just developing scenarios, taking it to the game store, and having buddies of mine play both sides or whatever. You know, that's what we're planning on doing with this game, or at least I am. All right, I've gone ahead and set up. Got the Zentradi on the left-hand side. I've got the first group right here, kind of taking cover behind this building, so that depending on if the UEDF goes first, they're not going to get an initial strike on them immediately. These guys are moving through the bushes. Now remember, if you stay within 2 inches of your squadron mates, everyone gets a +1 to shoot. I have the Valkyries right here in fighter mode, coming in from the right side of the map. And I've got them flying high, like over a building. No matter where they're positioned, they're always considered to be flying high, so the terrain does not ever block them. But I just put them there for looks, really. And there's their additional pieces just off the map, off to the side, just out of the way. All right, so we've got the UEDF coming in. And now, before we get started, I did want to just kind of go over some of their special abilities, just to kind of give you a heads up. The Regult Squadron, the Regults actually have 3 abilities called Focus Fire, Leap, and Life is Cheap. And in this scenario, we're not using the Life is Cheap, but Leap means after they finish moving, they get to move again. And by leaping, they basically run and jump. And that jump can ignore terrain, so they can like run and then jump over an obstacle or something like that. Now, Focus Fire means if they don't move, they get to shoot an additional. They get to pick an additional weapon system, if they have any, available to fire at the target. Okay. They also have head lasers, which are considered anti-missile. So if there are any incoming missiles, they get a free attempt without spending command points to shoot them down. And the Valkyries have this ability called GU11. Basically, depending on what mode they're on, they have different abilities, basically. When they're in fighter mode, like they are right now, they have a thing called Fast Mover and Afterburner. Aircraft just means what I mentioned earlier, is that they're flying high, they can avoid obstacles and things like this. And then the Fast Mover is kind of a penalty, actually, because the GU11, normally you can spend a command point to have it fire a second time, but because they're fast movers, they can't do that, because I guess they don't have that much time to I guess aim, because they got to constantly like moving fast. Okay, now if they were in Guardian mode, they have this ability called Hover, which basically is exactly what it sounds like, but what it does is it gives them a +1 to defense, because they're constantly juking and dodging and not staying stationary. And then the Battloid mode, they have hands, which means if they want to like climb a building, they can do that, or if they want to like carry something, they can do that. What that actually does for them is it gives them an extra rapid fire for free, where they don't have to spend a command point. The Veritechs have rapid fire on the GU11, so if they want to fire 3 times, they can. They would just spend a command point if they're in Guardian mode. Now there is a penalty for being in Battloid mode, because the Veritechs carry missiles, and the Battloid can't fire missiles because the wings aren't deployed, basically. Okay, so I've gone ahead and set up. Now let's see who goes first. Now what we normally do is you roll 2 dice, 2d6, and that gets you your initiative, right? So we're going to roll, we can roll them together, because guess what? The dice are color-coded for their appropriate teams. So I'm going to roll right here. Oh, look at that. The RDF has a 10 and the Zentradi's have a 3. So that means the Veritechs activate first. So now at the beginning of every turn what you do is you restock your command points. And remember, they have 6 and they have 2. So we've already restocked our command points. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to activation phase. You decide which groups you activate. Actually, you go through the turn and you decide like if there's any lasting effects on things. This is the introductory scenario, so we're not going to be using every single rule. Okay, so now we go to the Valkyries. Okay, the Valkyries have a stat card, right? And because they're in fighter mode, you can see that this is movement, piloting, gunnery, and defense. And then you got your little special abilities right here. So they can move 12. The Afterburner ability means they have to move their full movement in the second half of their move. The first half, they don't have to move their full move. But the second half, depending on whatever way they are facing when they fired, they can turn up to 90 degrees, and move their full move. So, and also remember that if it's a variable mode like this, you have to change your formation or change your configuration before you move. You do the change before you move. And I honestly don't think we want to fly straight in on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to change, and you can change from Guardian to Battloid to Fighter or Fighter to Battloid. It doesn't matter which one you change to. You don't have to like transition through a formation. You can go straight to whatever you want. I'm going to change formation to Guardian. Guardians have a 10-inch movement, so I'm going to move. Alright, now you can kind of see the blue model right there is in between an alleyway, and the rules do state that you cannot put your model or walk a model through an alleyway unless the base will actually fit. Alright, so now when you activate a side or a squadron, you have to complete its move before you move on to the next squadron. So the first thing is movement. Now the next thing we're going to do is shoot. And the line of sight is important. Okay, and just FYI, a hovering mecha is not flying, so he is not above the terrain, only the jets are. And it does have to go, like if it's a vertical obstacle taller than the mecha, it still has to treat that as rough terrain. Okay, so let's see. And you have to use a line of sight to make any shots. And guess what? There's too many buildings, so there's no shots there. Moving on to their move is done. So now we go to the Zentradi. And looking at the Zentradi card, you're looking at a 5 move, but remember he's going to leap. 2 piloting, 1 gunnery, 6 defense. So technically if I just want to move 5 inches and then leap, I can do that. Okay, kind of seeing that they're not taking the main road, I'm going to move down the road. Okay, now you notice that these Zentradi, their first move would be through these trees, and that would be a rough terrain. So I'm just going to double the movement that's actually through the terrain, and then they'll do their leap. Alright, so my Zentradis are advancing. Now if you notice, this guy is not within 2 inches of this guy, and that's perfectly fine because you don't have to maintain cohesion like in Warhammer or what have you. But now this guy will not get the +1 to shoot, where those two will, because they're coordinated. Now there are front arcs, and if you take a line directly 180 degrees across the base, everything to the front is his front arc, everything behind him is his back arc. They're sneaking around down the main drag there. Okay, let's see if there's any shooting. No shooting. So now, another thing. If there's more than one squadron on a side, you're supposed to alternate back and forth squadron activations. But because there's only one squadron on this side, you can only activate it once. But if they were to go first, it would be one squadron, one squadron, one squadron, one squadron. That's in the bigger games. Okay, so you activate one squadron at a time. All right, it's a new turn, so we're going to roll for initiative once again. I need like a bowl or a cup or something. I have a bowl. No, a cup is something maybe. Whoa, let's roll that one. Okay, it looks like the Zentradi's again lose. They have a 4, and the humans have a 5. Okay, the main reason why I'm staying in Guardian mode is because I want to fire the missiles. Because I want to show you how devastating the missiles can be. Okay, so knowing that these guys have moved out into the open and that they are exposed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out into the road and we are going to shoot them. Okay, so this is a 10-inch move. That's pretty impressive, actually. My missiles have a 24-inch range, so that's 2 feet. Do I really need to like get super close to these guys? No. What I need to do is just get out into the road, kind of fly. You notice how when you end your move, you can stop and turn your facing in any direction you want. You don't have to be facing in the direction you last moved, unless of course you're using afterburner. All right, so these two guys are going to like to stand out in the road. They're in Guardian mode. And now it's time to shoot, and they are going to use their missiles. Now, because they have what's called the wing-mounted articulated missile hardpoints, have 3 ammo, so which means they can fire it 3 times. It also has what's called volley 4. So every time they fire, every point of ammo fires 4 missiles. On the card, there's a little red area here, and that's where you would mark off your ammo. I just put little tick marks on there. Put little tick marks on there like that, saying that they've gone ahead and fired missiles. Okay, because they have 4 missiles each, what we're going to do is we're allowed to split them up however we want. Well, let's make sure we're even in range. Dang, this should be the first thing I do, right? What did I say? 24-inch range? Looks good. Looks like I'm within 24 inches. So now I'm going to split it up. I'm going to put 3 missiles, 3 missiles, and then 2 missiles. And so what you do is you just go ahead and roll your 3 dice, one die per missile. And I'm using my Guardian's gunnery, right? So I'm going to add 2. And what I'm trying to do is beat a 6. But because they've stayed within 2 inches of each other, I get to add 1 to my gunnery. All right, and so to qualify for that bonus, their gunnery skill has to be lower than the defense of your target mecha, which it definitely is. These guys have a 2, they have a 6, so it's much lower. So basically their gunnery is going to be 3, so I'm going to be adding 3 to my dice to try to equal a 6. Right? They have a defense of 6? Double checking. Yes. So now, what am I trying to reach with a plus? Okay, 1s always miss, 6s always succeed. And with a plus 3, that's going to miss because that's only going to be a 5. But that's a 7, so that hits. Now the 3 on this guy. Okay, these 2 hit. And then the last 2 missiles on the guy in the back, this one misses, but this one hits. I put the dice next to the mecha so that I can remember which one's been hit by how many missiles. Now, because the Regults have these head lasers called anti-missile, they get to try to shoot down this volley of however many missiles are actually targeting that mecha. Okay? He rolls 1 die. Normally a mech can try to shoot down an incoming volley of missiles by rolling a 6 and spending a command point. But because these guys have those head lasers, which are specifically designed to shoot down missiles, they get to do it for free, and they only have to roll a 5. So this guy's going to roll his 5. He does. All missiles are shot down. This guy, he does. All missiles are shot down. Okay, these missiles suck. And then this last guy fails, so the missile impacts him. Now, he has some options. He has a bunch of command points. So the first one he's going to do is he's going to spend a command point to attempt a dodge. To dodge, you have to roll on one die higher than the incoming roll to hit. And if you notice, this guy rolled a 3 to hit. He had +3 to hit him, so it was a total of a 6, which is what was required to hit him. So now for him to dodge, he would have to roll a 7. But he can't roll a 7. Well, he gets to add his piloting skill, I'm sorry. Okay, he's got a piloting skill of 2, so he has to roll a 5 or better to dodge. He rolled 1, he did not dodge. Now he can spend a command point to do what's called roll with the punch. Okay, and so by spending a command point you would half the damage. But because the damage is 9, halving that goes to 4.5. We round that up to 5. He only has 5 hit points anyway, so it's a waste to attempt to dodge. So, boom, he blows up. So far, so good. Now, that was the activation of the Valkyrie Squadron. Now we switch our activation over to the Raguls. They have dual particle cannons that have an 18-inch range. If the Valkyries are within 18 inches, I'm not going to move. And what are you saying? What? Are you pre-measuring? I certainly am. Oh my goodness, he's within 18, so that means you know the next guy's within 18. Okay, so they're not going to move. They're just going to hold their ground, and they're just going to fire with +1. Okay, they're going to fire with a +1 because they are accurate. They're going to fire +1 because they're in formation. And that's it, right? Okay. And they're each going to fire at 1, and we'll say, I'm going to use the white die will go on the white one, you know how it works. Okay, so their gunnery is normally 1. They can't shoot this side of a barn, but in this case it's going to be a 3. They have a defense, normally it's a 5, but because they have the hover ability, it's a 6. So these guys are getting +3, and they're trying to get 6s. Shouldn't be too hard, right? This guy missed, and this guy hit. The dual heavy particle cannons normally do 4 points of damage. I could spend a command point and attempt to dodge. And his total roll is 8, because it's 5 plus 3 is 8. My piloting is 3. I would have to roll a 5. Okay, I would have to roll a 5 to dodge. Why not? Let's do it. Let's spend a command point. Let's roll a die. Let's see if I can get a 5. Wait. Piloting is 3. Yeah, okay. Boom! He dodged it. When you dodge, you take 0 damage. Alright, so that was... So they're activated. Now it's these guys. Now they can't see anything, so they're definitely going to have to move. They're going to come... Move 5 and then leap. He moved 5 and leaped. Leapt. Now this guy can move 5 to there, and then 5 more. He's leaping. Bloop. And this guy can move 5 to there, and 5 more. He's right there. Bloop. Okay. This guy is still more than 2 inches away from these guys because he's got the vertical. So these guys all are going to shoot at these guys. Yeah, they moved, so they don't get the accurate bonus, but they do get their gunnery, of course. Okay, so they have a defense of 6. We already know that because they're in Guardian mode. And so this guy has a gunnery skill, because he has no other bonuses, he has a gunnery skill of 1. So he's got to roll a 5 or better to hit. All 3 of them are going to spend a command point. I'm just going to go ahead and do it in advance. So I'm spending 3 command points so that they can fire an additional weapon system. They're going to use their dual heavy particle cannons as their primary attack, and then they're going to use their dual 3mm auto cannons as their secondary. Okay, so yeah, he's going to shoot at that one because there's absolutely no cover. This guy is actually covered by 25% of his model, so he would get a -1 or +1 defense, so he's not going to shoot at him. He's going to shoot at this guy, where these guys are going to shoot at him because they have a clear shot. So this guy firing there, I get a +1, and I need a 6. So I got to roll 5. Here we go. Rolling for a 5. He did get a 5. So his main cannon hits there, and then his secondary gun, we'll use another colored die, misses. Now these guys are shooting both their particle cannons at him, and they have piloting of 1, but they also have formation because they're in formation, so they get close formation is what they call it, so they get a plus another 1. So instead of 2, okay, 2, 1 for the gunnery, 1 for the close formation. So they need to roll 5s. No, 4s, 5s. I can't do my math. So you could go 2 minus 6, I need 4s, right? Okay, 4s to hit. That guy. 1 hit, 1 miss. Those are the particle cannons. Now, the secondary guns, the auto cannons. Oh, those both miss. Okay, so far so good. Now these guys, they have 1 command point left, so only one of them is going to get to dodge. So he's going to spend, or they could just ignore the dodge and go straight to taking half damage. The thing does normally 4 points of damage. That's what he's going to do. He's going to spend a command point. He doesn't have to roll with it. He just takes half damage. So the white one takes 2 damage, and the red one takes 4 damage. 2 damage, 4 damage. And that's the end of the Zentradi turn. Okay, so everything's done. So now you refill the command points. The Zentradi still had a couple extra command points. It's a 2-die roll. Man, they've got a 9, and they've got a 4. So the Veritechs are going first, yet again. It looks like they're basically in a crossfire situation, so they might make a slight adjustment here of what their strategy is going to be. Yep, they're going to switch to Guardian mode, or Battloid mode. They saw that their missile volley, whatever, wasn't very effective. Okay, so before I move, I switch to Battloid mode, right? And the Battloid only has a movement of 5, but that's okay. I hope that's okay. We're not closing into hand-to-hand combat, but we are getting a lot closer. A lot closer. Okay, so the Battloids move closer to the Ragults, and now they're going to open up with their GU-11, their main autocannon. It has, remember, because they have hands, it now has free rapid fire, so they get to fire twice. All right, now we're going to go ahead and use those GU11s, and we're just going to go ahead and have this guy fire at this guy and this guy fire at this guy, just for convenience sake. Let's see here. He's got 2 shots each, so we'll say that this one's the guy on the ground, and see, I don't even know if you can see these dice, but we're going to go ahead and use these white ones for, or I should say, we're going to use the UEDF dice for the guy that's on the ground. We're going to use the Zentradi dice for the guy that's up on the building. And nobody has any cover, so we're looking at a gunnery skill of 3. They're within 2 inches of each other, so they have a gunnery skill of 4. And they have a defense of 6. So I'm looking to roll 2s or better. Okay, the guy on the ground has 2 3s, so he's been hit. And the guy up here, I only rolled 1 2, so he's been hit. Now, of course, they have command points to try to dodge. So this guy actually has to dodge twice because he was hit twice. So he's going to spend 2 dodge command points. And since they're both the same roll, it's okay to roll 2 dice at the same time. He was hit with a total of 3 gunnery, 3 die, and 1 formation. So a total of 7. So he's got to roll a 7 or better with his piloting of 2. So he's only got to roll a 5 or better to dodge. Here we go. No dodges. Okay. So now, would it be advantageous for him to roll with it? He's getting hit with 6 damage, so it would be a total of 3 if he rolls with it. If he rolls with both, it'll be 6. So if he rolls with 1, so he's taking a total of 12 damage. So if he rolls with 1, he'll take 9 damage. If he rolls with both, he'll take 6 damage. He's only got 5 hit points. Boom, he's dead. Okay. Now, that's not the same for this guy. This guy's going to try to dodge it. I only rolled a total of a 5. I've got a 2 piloting, so I've only got to roll a 3 to dodge. That ain't bad. And he does. He dodges it. That's an imperfect dice. Okay. Okay, so with that GU11 volley, they were only able to kill 1. But still, not bad. Okay, so now that was them going first, right? Because they've gone first every turn so far, for some reason. So now we're going to go back to the Ragults. Now, the Ragults don't have to go anywhere. They can just stand there and duke it out with these guys because they've got the accurate, gives them a +1 to hit. And they've got, they only get accurate because they're stationary. They're within range of all their weapons, so there's no reason, and nobody's in cover, so there's no reason why they need to move anywhere. So we'll just go, you know, boom, boom, just like that, you know, just like that. Okay, they're running out of command points, but that's totally okay. They're going to use each a command point, and you have to spend the command points before you start rolling to hit. They spend the command points to use their secondary weapons, which is also in range. Okay. So, how do I want to do this? Okay, I guess I'll just roll them separately. Zentradi die is a primary gun. UEDF is the secondary gun. And they have a gunnery skill of 1, but they are in close formation, so they have a gunnery skill of 2. They're accurate, so they have gunnery skill of 3. And these guys have a defense of 5. So I only need 2s to hit. So the red guy, oh my gosh, and the blue guy. Okay. The 1 does not hit. The 6 is an automatic hit, no matter what skill levels you have or numbers you need to roll. Okay, so they both got hit with the primary guns. They both got, well, one guy got hit with the secondary gun. He's going to take the hit from the secondary gun just straight up. I'm just going to go ahead and put that on there. Secondary gun only does 2 points of damage. So tick, tick. And then the, so that's that. He didn't even try to dodge that or anything. And then now he's got 2 command points there. They each could roll with it and just take 2 points. Because it seems like rolling with it is going to be more, I mean, they could try to dodge. But to dodge a 6, he has to roll, it's not a 6 actually. It's 6 plus their 3, so it's a 9. And he's got a piloting skill of 2. So he's going to have to roll 6s to make that roll. I'm not going to waste my command points. I'm just going to spend them to roll with it. So they each take, normally it's 4, halved is 2. So they each take 2. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Okay, so they're both at 6 points of damage. Okay, that was the first squadron. Now the second squadron. They're out of line of sight, so they are going to move forward. And they're going to move 5 and jump 5 for a total of 10. Now, if these guys are within 2 inches of those guys, they don't get the bonus. I mean, it's not like you can't cross squadron your pluses. You have to be, it all has to be from the same squadron. Well, he can move all the way. Now, if you need to shoot through your own guy in your own squadron, that is perfectly legit. You can shoot through your own guys. You cannot shoot through a different squadron. With the Life is Cheap ability, the Zentradi would normally be able to shoot through additional squadrons to get to their target. They would just have to blow up their own guy. And that's the only way you're allowed to target a friendly is with the Life is Cheap. But in these scenarios, you do not have Life is Cheap. Okay, so here we go. I think they've moved. They only have 1 command point left. They're not going to... Well, hell, they might as well spend it. One of them is going to spend it to get a secondary shot. So we're going to take 2 shots on this one and 1 shot on this one, and it should be pretty much the same. You're looking at a 1 gunnery. They're not accurate because they moved, but they are in formation. So you get they get a 2, and they're looking for a 5. So I need a 3. Okay, so here we go. 3s. Both of them hit. And that was the final command point, by the way. And then the main cannon on this one. And he hits. Okay, because they don't have any more command points, they just have to take the damage. They just have to take it. They can't do anything about it. No dodging, nothing. So the guy in blue takes a grand total of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the guy in red has to take 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my gosh, he's down to only 2 hit points. We got a 4 hit points left and a 2 hit point left. Doesn't look good for the UEDF. Okay, but what the heck. Okay, start of a new turn. The Zentradi replenish their command points. The UEDF replenish their command points. And then we roll for initiative. You should be catching on by now, I think. So far, it's not too hard, right? Oh my gosh, the Zentradi might have it. They've got a 10. And the UEDF only has a 6. Okay, so the Zentradi activate one of their 2 squadrons, not both. Remember, they have to alternate. So we're just going to go ahead and activate these guys. They're not going to move. They're going to be accurate. They're going to, this one's shooting there and this one's shooting there, obviously, right? Okay. They're each going to spend a command point to fire their secondary guns. Wait, their secondary guns are not accurate. Ah, check that out. Okay, secondary guns are not accurate. That was a mistake on my part. Sorry about that. Okay, so 5 defense, 1 gunnery, so we're looking for a 4, right? Formation, looking for a 3. Accurate, looking for a 2. Does that make sense? Let me double check that. Oh, gunnery's 1. Accurate, formation, +3, looking for a 5. Only need a 2. But I need a 3 with the secondary gun. So a 2 and a 3. Both hit. He's dead. He's going to be dead. Same thing with that guy. 2 and a 3. Oh, they both hit. Oh, he's going to be dead too. Okay, so here we go. This is how they can respond to that. We've got the UEDF. Okay, it does normally a total of 6 damage, 4 and 2. He can half the damage of the 4 and make it a total of 4. That will kill him. He has to attempt to dodge one of those shots. Oh my gosh. So he's going to attempt to dodge the 4. Well, hold on now, just a second. If the blue guy... I'm sorry, if the red guy dodges 1 and rolls with the other, he'll take 1 point of damage. The other guy will just take a total of 6 and be dead. Okay, well, I think they're both going to be dead. No matter what I do. So, because if he dodges 1 and he takes the other one, he's dead. If he dodges 1 and rolls with 1, he'll have 1 hit point left. And this guy will be dead. Okay, so let's look at the blue guy. If he dodges 1 and rolls with the other, he'll have 2 hit points. Well, shoot, he could dodge 1. He could dodge them both. They both could dodge the 4s, but that would still kill him, and he would take 2 points of damage. So, decisions. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this guy die. Well, no, first of all, hold on. Let's just go ahead and attempt to dodge that, okay? Let's just spend 1 command point, right? And attempt to dodge that incoming 3. The 3 plus his gunnery of 4 plus his formation of 5. I've got a roll of 5. I've got a piloting of 2, so I just need to roll a 3 or better to dodge that main attack. 3 or better. 4, good. Okay, it's gone. I dodge. Now I have to make other decisions. He can take 2 points of damage. That's not a problem. If this guy dodges this, he'll die. So, no matter what, I'm just going to let this guy die. Boom, he's dead. He didn't dodge or roll with it or nothing on this one, so he just blows up. Okay. And then the last guy is taking 2 points of damage. He could just take it because these guys are getting ready to shoot at him. Well, he gets to shoot back, but... Or he could attempt to dodge it. Nope, he's just going to take it. Dang. He just took 2 hits. Oh, man. He's down to only 2 points of damage left. Okay. So now we go to the Valkyrie. Old Max there. What's he going to do? He just took his 2 points of damage. Obviously, he's going to move. 5. These guys have already fired. Those guys have not fired. Okay. I'm going to try to get out of sight, making them move. He is out of sight. It's going to make them move. And if they move, they don't get their accurate bonus. Alright, since he's got the G11, he's in Battloid mode. He gets an additional rapid fire for free. So he's going to shoot twice at this guy. He's got a gunnery of 3. Not in formation. So he's got a gunnery of 3. The thing has a defense of 6. So he's looking at a 3 or better to hit. a 1 and a 5. Okay, well, we know the 1 doesn't hit. The 5 hits. That 1 Regult. He's got a bajillion command points, so he's going to spend 1 to dodge. Okay, so let's see. What do we got? We're looking. He's just rolled an 8. So he's got to roll better than an 8. His piloting skill is 2, so he has to roll a 6. He has to roll a 6 to dodge. And he doesn't. So he didn't dodge. But if he spends a command point, yep, he's going to spend a command point to roll with it. He's only going to take 3 damage. And he lives because he has 5 hit points. That sucks. Okay. Alright, this is probably going to be the last squadron activation. I'm going to activate the guys in the road. These guys, they're going to move their movement. I'm not getting into hand-to-hand. That is a rule. You can get into hand-to-hand with guys. But this guy's going to run and get behind this guy. Alright, because they're behind him, they get a +1 to hit. If their same squadron was in the front and the back of them, they would get what's called crossfire, which is a +1 to hit. And the guys in the back would still continue to get a +1 for back shots. So it's a lot of pluses here. But because there's only 2 of them, it would be hard to have somebody in the front and the back and stay within close formation. So I've opted to put them in the back. They both get the back shot, and they still get coordination. So they're at a +2. Okay, so they're +2 to their gunnery of 1 for a total of +3. He's only got a 5 defense. They're looking for 2s. They spend both command points to fire their secondary weapons. I can roll them all together because they're all shooting the same guy, and they're just looking for 2s. All but 1 hits. Okay, he has no command points, so he blows up with his last 2 hit points. And in this case, the 6 Regults were able to defeat the 2 Valkyries, and the Zentradi win. Alright, now that was my playthrough. If you have any questions or comments about this playthrough, please post them in the comments. If you liked this playthrough, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. There might be more playthroughs, more advanced or detailed playthroughs, and I'll try not to be so basic. Alright, well, thanks for coming out and checking this out, and catch you next time.